Kansas City has won back-to-back Super Bowls. If they win their third one this season, they cement themselves as an official dynasty. Is it going to happen? You know, it's going to be really tough for Kansas City because you got Jim Harbaugh entering the AFC West now. He's going to make things interesting for you. But overall, you got to feel really confident about Kansas City's ability to win the AFC West. So you know that you're going to be a lock to have a home field playoff game. The question is, how far in the postseason is Kansas City going to go this year? Because you've been to the AFC Championship pretty much every single year under the Mahomes, Andy Reid regime. But with Joe Burrow and Lamar having a better supporting cast, especially Joe Burrow having Jermaine Burton at wide receiver and an improved offensive line, him being fully healthy, he could stop you once again. And we know Kansas City fans get a little bit shook when they hear the name Joe Burrow because every time he comes to Arrowhead, it turns into Burrowhead. KC, though, you know, they have a counterpunch. Although Cincy and the Baltimore Ravens got better, they did too, because last year, offensively, Kansas City was tough to watch at times, especially if you remember their awful performance against the Raiders on Christmas Day. How did their offense get better this offseason? Well, you add big play threats, Hollywood Brown in free agency, and you drafted Xavier Worthy in the first round of this past year's draft to set the NFL Combine record. With the kind of speed that these guys bring to the Chiefs offense, you're going to see an offense that's going to be way more consistent at generating explosive plays and chunks. We didn't really see a lot of big plays that were 30, 40 yards down the field from this offense as much as what we've seen in previous years when they used to have Tyreek Hill. Well, now that you have that kind of speed that Tyreek Hill used to have in this offense with Xavier Worthy, now that's going to help you get that deep passing game to open up again. And with that deep passing game opening up again, you know, that's going to make defenses have to play a little bit further back, and you can still have success that you had last year with Mahomes just getting the ball out fast and being good at running a West Coast style offense, because that's pretty much what Kansas City was running last year due to their wide receivers' lack of ability to get open and create separation downfield. And plus, you know, their offensive line at times wasn't the best. Well, their offensive line also improved as well. They drafted a really good offensive tackle out of BYU. You got Jawan Taylor, who he's always been an up and down player. When they signed him to that massive contract in free agency last year, I kind of was like, man, like, I don't know about that one, but he's always been a player that'll have a down year one season, and then the next year, he'll end up bouncing back and playing at a high level. You're really good when it comes to your offensive guard positions. So your offense is going to be not only more efficient, but they're going to give you better trench play from what you're going to get out of your offensive line this season, which also should help out Isaiah Pacheco, who is a really good back, and it's also going to give Mahomes way more time to throw the football downfield, because now he's going to have more time for those big plays to open up. And, of course, we can't forget about Mr. Swifty and Travis Kelce. Almost called him Taylor Swift. So, offensively, I think that Kansas City has what it takes this year to be able to three-peat. They're also going to generate less turnovers this year because Mahomes was kind of turning the football over a good amount last year, trying to make things happen. They ranked 24th in turnovers last season. I expect that to go down. I expect this to be a better offense when it comes to being able to hold on to the pick and not giving opposing teams extra possessions. And then defensively, you know, with Steve Spagnuolo, who pretty much is regarded as the best big game DC in NFL history, you're still going to have a great unit. Yes, you did lose L'Jarius Sneed, but you drafted very well, especially at corner. So I don't think that this defense is going to have too big of a drop-off. It's always hard to maintain a top 3 or top 5 defense from a year-to-year basis, but you definitely can expect this defense to be no worse than a top 10, top 12 unit this year. And with what Kansas City has on both sides of the football, listen, as much as I would hate to see Kansas City win this thing again, if I was a betting man and you were to ask me, JT, you got $1,000, but you got to use it to bet on who you think is going to win it all, how could I not put it on Kansas City? I mean, at this point, there's only been one quarterback who's been able to stop Patrick Mahomes, and that's been Joe Burrow. And we've seen Joe Burrow lose to Patrick Mahomes right after that, the following season. So there's not really a QB who you can look at and say, oh, yeah, I trust him to beat Patrick Mahomes. Because when you play against Kansas City, you have to be able to show up in the fourth quarter. And Kansas City, with the game on the line, you know that they're always going to make the plays necessary to win. The problem is the teams that they play don't do a good job of that. It's like they'll play well for the first 3 quarters, and all of a sudden, the final 6 minutes of the game get here, money time, nobody's able to deliver. But Kansas City on the other sidelines, though, that seems to bring the best out of them. So me personally, listen, I would pick Kansas City to win it all again this year because I really don't trust the other quarterbacks out there. This is just a well-operated, well-oiled machine that Andy Reid has going down there. And I think that we're really close to seeing Kansas City cement themselves officially in NFL history as a legitimate dynasty.